Happening right now, protesters gathering at an ICE detention center just outside of Chicago. The criminal activity police are now investigating at that facility. It's day 3 of the government shutdown. President Trump is finalizing his plans to lay off federal workers. And the high-profile trial of Sean Combs reaching its final stage. The rapper's plea to the judge as he awaits his fate. A massive fireball burning at an oil refinery in California. The latest on that investigation as to what caused parts of the plant to go up in flames. And Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, coming out overnight. How fans and critics are responding. Good morning from NewsNation headquarters here in Chicago. I'm Nick Smith. Right now, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is at the ICE processing facility just outside of Chicago with a number of Border Patrol agents looking over the scope of that area. Now, demonstrators are outside that facility right now protesting Operation Midway Blitz as agents target illegal immigrants in the Chicago area. Meanwhile, new video is sparking claims that federal agents are using excessive force. This video shows what bystanders say was an unnecessarily rough arrest, with officers appearing to choke a man. The Department of Homeland Security says he was a suspect in a theft, though the agency disputes he was choked. The video is making the rounds as investigations start into this particular ICE facility. NewsNation's Mills Hayes is live outside the ICE detention center in Broadview, Illinois. Mills, good morning. Please set the scene for us.
Good morning to you, Nick. We have seen more than a couple dozen protesters out here already today, and the Illinois State Police as well as the Cook County Sheriff's Office have established this safe zone. So you can tell that that road up there blocked off to vehicle traffic, but I'm standing where the protesters are allowed to go. You can see there's also another protest zone as well. This is actually supposed to be for counter protesters. However, you can see anti-ICE protesters right over there as well. And an Illinois State Police officer told me that if there are protesters in the middle of this road, well, they could be arrested. I want to get you guys a little bit closer to this Broadview ICE facility. We just saw DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on top of that roof up there alongside Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. They were up there for about 10 minutes. They have since gone down, but this Broadview facility has sparked a lot of tension in the community. Lots of people talking about the inhumane conditions that are happening here, and we have seen protests started to grow, especially from veterans groups as well as civil rights groups and organizations that are all coming out to denounce what is happening as far as these ICE raids. We know DHS saying that there have been more than 900 arrests since Operation Midway Blitz has happened. And of course, this week we saw ICE raids at a homeless shelter and also over at an apartment complex on the south side. So a lot of people very frustrated. We knew that Governor Pritzker said that the media sources through the media had told him that Secretary Noem could be here today. And of course, we do know that she is now here. Now, we also know that the village of Broadview has opened 3 criminal investigations into the federal use of force here at the Broadview facility. Now, they say that there have been focuses. These criminal investigations will focus on chemical agents, physical harm, and even verbal abuse of local police officers. The mayor and police chief are demanding an end to what they call state-sanctioned violence. And I'm actually here with a former Marine who is out.
As you can imagine, the scene right now where Mills is, just outside of Chicago, is indeed very busy. We will, of course, get back to Mills as soon as we can, but we are asking her and our crews to stay safe. It's day 3 of the government shutdown. Senators say they expect it to drag on until at least the middle of next week. This morning, Senate Majority Leader John Thune and House Speaker Mike Johnson will hold a news conference about the shutdown. This afternoon, the Senate is set to vote on 2 measures, one to fund the government and the second to end the shutdown. So far, there are no signs of a resolution. And moments ago, the Trump administration announced a pause in $2 billion of funding for Chicago infrastructure projects, leveraging the shutdown to pressure Democrats. Russell Vought, head of the Office of Management and Budget, posted online that the freeze would, quote, ensure funding is not flowing via race-based contracting. It's the latest move by the White House targeting states and cities led by Democrats. NewsNation's Tom Dempsey is live from Capitol Hill with the latest. Tom, good morning. There is a lot happening right now, and at the same time, not enough.
Absolutely. You just said it right there, Nick. Good morning from Washington, D.C., where we are getting set for more votes to happen later today here at the Capitol on government spending. But like you just said right there, we keep hearing about these personal impacts of the government shutdown and how so many, federal employees and programs are being impacted. But no signs really show any significant movement or breakthroughs when it comes to these votes coming up, with both sides continuing to point the finger at the other for this stalemate. So the Senate will hold votes on two separate plans for government spending. One, backed by Republicans and passed in the House, extends government spending until mid-November. The other, pushed for by Democrats, extends Affordable Care Act subsidies and rolls back Medicaid cuts linked to the One Big Beautiful Bill. But again, both sides still very much accusing the other of trying to score political points while hurting Americans with this shutdown.
People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority.
We can have a conversation to end this shutdown. They're hurting the American people. Let's find a bipartisan path forward, and let's address the Republican health care crisis.
So, Nick, as far as what to expect today, the Senate will reconvene around noon Eastern time here in Washington, D.C., and those votes on the government spending packages will happen sometime in the early afternoon. The magic number is 8. Senate Republicans need some Democrats to cross the aisle to get their plan over the finish line. So far, 3 Democrats have done so this week, so it's going to be very key to watch if any more Democrats join in on that. Nick?
Tom Dempsey live at Capitol Hill. Tom, thank you so much. Let's go now to NewsNation's Libby Dean at the White House. Libby, good morning. President Trump has made it clear that he will get rid of federal workers who don't fit the idea of what the administration wants. Any details yet about a potential timeline for the mass firings threatened by the White House?
Yeah, good morning, Nick. We're actually getting a clearer picture this morning of the next moves for the Trump administration here during day 3 of this government shutdown. The White House is preparing to target roughly a dozen federal agencies with firings during the government shutdown. That's according to a senior administration official that I just spoke to. And we're also learning thousands of federal employees could be the target of these potential firings. Now, as for a timeline, because that's the big question on when we could see these firings start, I'm told that they aren't ruling out this process beginning today, but the official did say that that would be ambitious as we continue to see these details being ironed out by the Office of Management and Budget. And that actually comes after the director of the OMB, Russ Vought, he met with President Trump privately on Thursday to lay out what the future of the shutdown and what moves the Trump administration could make next year. And we're seeing that develop here at the White House today. Vought and the president, though, have made it clear, been on the record saying they see the shutdown as an opportunity to radically reduce the size of government, and that being the potential of roughly a dozen agencies being targeted. As for what agencies could be targeted, though, initial signs do point to health agencies like the NIH and the CDC potentially being on the chopping block. And that's as 41% of the HHS workforce, they could potentially be furloughed as well. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Also, as for how Democrats are reacting, they're blasting the impending firings by the Trump administration. We've heard that throughout the last 3 days, and we'll likely learn more about this timeline from the White House today during the briefing that'll take place at 1 Eastern. Nick?
Libby Dean live at the White House. Libby, thank you so much. Another consequence of the government shutdown, a delayed jobs report. The Labor Department typically releases it on the first Friday of the month, and as investors react to the shutdown, the dollar has slipped to a near 1-week low. NewsNation's Alicia Nieves is live on Wall Street with the latest. Alicia, good morning. So much happening. The shutdown has forced the possibility of people being let go from their jobs. As a result, the dollar has fallen. Break it down for us.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. I mean, it's never an ideal time to have a government shutdown. You talk to economists, they'll tell you right now is probably the least ideal time. And that is because Wall Street and monetary policymakers really needed this glimpse into the state of the labor market. Of course, now with the shutdown and the Department of Labor mostly not functioning, you're not going to get the September jobs report. But also, and this is important to pay attention to over the next couple of weeks, you're not going to have critical employees gathering data for the next jobs report for October. October. So a really unusual situation here where the financial world is flying blind, or at least has a major blind spot. And this, of course, amid months of concerns over the labor market and where the economy is headed, right? Particularly the Fed has this blind spot as it's scheduled to make an important decision on whether to cut interest rates again, at the end of this month when it meets the FOMC. So Fed officials have come out, though, and said they still may be able to get a bit of a glimpse of the state of things, although not as clear as with having the actual BLS jobs report. They're going to do so by patchworking alternative sources of data and surveying business contacts. One of the pieces of data they'll likely utilize is going to be the ADP private payroll report that dropped earlier this week on Wednesday, and it showed a grim picture for the labor market. The biggest decline since March of 2023 in jobs, 32,000 jobs lost in September, when economists were expecting still a not great number of an increase of 45,000 jobs. So if the Fed ends up having to rely on this data, plus, of course, they're watching the news like most people are, hopefully, they're going to factor in the threats of additional jobs being lost during this shutdown. And so it's why you're seeing on your screen right now the CME Fed Watch tool having a pretty elevated probability that we do end up getting that rate cut. Over 90% probability of that happening in the next 3 weeks. And it's also why, if you looked at financial markets and the stock market, how it closed yesterday, we closed to the upside across the board. Actually, all three major indices hit a record high yesterday, and that is because what we're seeing on Wall Street right now, while there still is uncertainty with this shutdown, we're seeing a pivot from the concern around that uncertainty to some optimism that this leads to the higher probability we get the rate cut, given the data the Fed right now has at its disposal. I will say, though, that data typically not as reliable as the BLS's jobs report, but the Fed's going to have to make do with what it's got so far, Nick.
Alicia Nieves live on Wall Street watching those numbers. Alicia, thank you so much. Yeah. New overnight, President Trump hinting that Americans may be getting payments of up to $2,000. That's because of the revenue made from tariffs.
Pay back debt, but we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America.
How much are you thinking for that, sir?
Well, we're thinking maybe $1,000 to $2,000.
$1,000 to $2,000. Just know that any payments like these would need congressional approval. An app used to track and share the location of ICE officers has been pulled from Apple's App Store. The Trump administration reportedly asked Apple to remove the popular app ICE Block. In a statement to NewsNation, Apple said its App Store was created to, quote, be a safe and trusted place. The company cites law enforcement concerns over safety risks in its decision to remove ICE Block and similar apps. Well, it's Judgment Day for Sean Diddy Combs. He will be back in court any moment now to be sentenced for his federal sex trafficking crimes. Just moments ago, several family members of Combs's walked into court. Diddy was acquitted of his most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy back in July. Those charges could have put him behind bars for life. Instead, the jurors found him guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Both of those charges carry a max sentencing of 10 years. Combs is asked to play this 11-minute video in court ahead of his sentencing. In the video, you can see Combs with his children in the recording studio with producers as well as artists, as well as different people praising him for his character and impact in the music industry. Earlier this week, the judge rejected his request to toss out those convictions. Combs's attorneys tried to argue the prosecution did not present enough factual evidence to prove he was transporting people for sex. But the judge denied the motion, saying there was overwhelming testimony with Cassie Ventura and a woman identified as Jane. NewsNation's Laura Ingle joins us from outside the courthouse with the very latest. Laura, good morning. This has been a trial that we've all been riveted to, but today is Judgment Day.
Today is Judgment Day, Nick, and we've been long waiting for October 3rd circled on the calendar, and here we are, and we've got a huge turnout for people to find out what is going to happen to Sean Combs. Take a look behind me. Look at this huge crowd that you see. We've got a crush of course, the media. The world's media is here. We've got fans that are here. You mentioned that his family members are going to be here. Everybody waiting to find out what the judge in the case will give Sean Combs for his sentence. If it will be the 11 years that prosecutors have requested for the charges that he was convicted on, or the 14 months the defense has requested, or, you know, maybe somewhere in between. We just don't know until that moment arrives. So as we show you and continue to show you this huge scrum of people outside of the court, Sean Combs is also making his final bid for leniency, asking the judge in writing for this, you know, this 4-page letter that was submitted yesterday, and it was made public yesterday. So we got to look at it. And then he's going to be addressing the judge in court. It's going to be the first time that we will hear from Sean Combs in court. Remember, he did not testify at his trial. He only, you know, nodded and waved to his family. But today is the day we're actually going to hear his voice. He's going to be asking the judge in person to spare him more time in custody. And in the last hour, we just got a hold of that video that will be shown in court. You started showing it there at the top. Combs' defense team will show this 11-minute video. And as you mentioned, highlighting him as a father, a mentor, a cultural icon. Part of it looks highly produced. Other parts of it kind of looks like home movies, showing, you know, the man behind the mogul. It features scenes of him with his kids running the New York City Marathon and the recording studio with producers, moments with the mother of 4 of his kids, Kim Porter, who has since passed away. Combs also submitted that letter to the judge. And in that letter, he apologized to his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, a star witness in this case, and to another woman known as Jane. And also, Nick, in a surprise move, another accuser identified as Gina, or victim number 3, actually sent a letter of support, writing that he should not be defined by his worst mistakes. Now, Combs is facing a maximum of 20 years behind bars. Prosecutors, again, want him sentenced to 11 years, 3 months. His defense argues, look, that 14 months he's already spent in jail is enough, and they're hoping that he will just walk out of here and be on probation. In court today, at least 4 members of his defense team will address the judge along with Combs himself. And we've been hearing that this is going to be like 4 or 5 hours today. And there's even some reports that this could go into Monday. Not sure if that's going to happen, but it is going to be an all-day affair. Prosecutors say that Cassie Ventura and another woman known as Mia, only Mia, is expected to speak here today. So this is going to be quite a scene. It's going to be very dramatic. And as we know, the judge has already denied Combs' past legal challenges, asking for leniency, asking for bail. He has denied all of those requests. So today is literally Judgment Day. We will find out what the judge decides. Court is expected to get underway at 10 a.m. Looks like I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to happen. We're always running a little bit late here at federal court, but we will certainly bring it to you as soon as we get it.
And Laura, all weekend, you spent the weekend speaking with legal experts. What have you been able to glean from them with that disparity in what the prosecution is asking for and what the defense is saying, hey, he's done enough time?
Right. It's a really wide range, right? The 11 years or 14 months. And most legal experts think it's going to be, you know, somewhere down the middle and maybe like on the 2 to 3, maybe 4 year side. That could be it. But, you know, it kind of reminds me of an award show, right? The category, the winner's been picked. It's in the envelope. So many people say that the judge already has the sentence decided. So he's going to come out, he's going to listen to everything. He'll listen to Sean Combs, he'll listen to the victim impact statements and to the defense team. But really the decision, most legal experts would say, is already decided. And so he's going to hear everything out. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2 to 3 years. But hey, you just never know what's going to happen. And that's why we're here. Nick.
Laura Ingle live in New York for us outside that courthouse. Laura, thank you so much. Protesters gathering outside the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois this morning. We're awaiting a press conference from community leaders. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is on the ground there along with News Nation. We'll have more after this break.